music, sports, and the people that get it poppin'. You've entered the chat on Power 94.
Power 94 WJTT is the homie Big Tula.
And Nick with the stats.
And this is our Week 2 high school wrap-up and Week 3 preview. The local games, the local competition. Last weekend, you got to check out a game. You went and saw
Saudi Daisy at Ottawa. Man, it was interesting.
Okay.
I felt bad for Ottawa because they had so many injuries week 1. I mean, starting quarterback goes down with a concussion, Brent Badley. I mean, we interviewed him over the summer.
Yeah.
He was really looking forward to the season to get hit 3 different ways week 1 and then just go down with the concussion. He's out for at least this week, last week, maybe this week too. You never know. I hope to see him back this week.
And you said he was on the sideline ready to get back in.
Oh, he wanted to go so bad.
Shout out to the coaches and everybody. There's protocols to keep these kids from hurting themselves or keep athletes from hurting themselves because the competitive spirit, the juices start flowing and they think, oh, I can go back in there. But that's why we have these protocols to make sure that they don't get hurt and they don't put themselves in jeopardy. So shout out to them for not letting them back in there and making them take some time off to get back.
He was being a leader from the sideline, though. The backup quarterback, first name's Sam. I don't really know his last name at the moment, but Sam was out there, kind of, you could see the nerves. You could see he was kind of anxious to get in there. And Brent was on the sideline like, man, calm down, just sling it. You've been doing this all summer. You're good. And then kind of being that player coach. And it was great to see. But
other than the outcome, the game, what was the final?
It was 28-0.
Okay, 28-0 Saudi. And again, Ottawa had some injuries, so that contributed to some of that. But some stats.
Saudi's insane, man. Saudi's insane this year. They're 2-0 off to a hot start. But one player that I want to highlight for a second is Tucker Ross, their quarterback.
Okay.
Man has 30 carries, 191, and 6 touchdowns. It's week 2. It's week 2, bro.
Wait, 30. That's what he's got so far in 2 weeks. 30 carries. So,
30 carries and almost 200 yards. He's 9 yards short of 200.
Wow.
But 6 touchdowns, and it's week 2.
Yeah.
He's a scrambler, and they like to do that little QB draw action. So if you got Saudi Daisy in the next couple weeks or so,
get prepared.
Watch out for that because he slings it and he can run it.
And they got a good matchup coming up this week. They're 2-0 and they're taking on Loudon. It's 2-0.
Yeah,
at Loudon, 7 p.m.
So it's going to be something to definitely watch there. I would love to go to that game. It's a little far to travel up there.
This week we're actually going to be at Red Bank versus East Ridge, and that's at East Ridge. That's also 7 p.m. Red Bank's 1-1. They're ranked number 20, and East Ridge is 0-2 right now.
They are, but it's been a rough schedule for East Ridge to get off the start that they've had. They had Marion County week 1 and Sequatchie County week 2. I mean, those are 2 teams that
we went and interviewed them over the summer. They knew what they wanted to see where they stood at the very beginning. Last year they started off a little slow and came on strong at the end. They made the playoffs or whatever. But this year, again, they had a stacked front-loaded part of the season, and they're facing some good talent. So we get to see where they stand. And this is the game that they really wanted. They mentioned this game right here. This one,
all of them won.
All of them wanted to say they wanted to see Red Bank. Yeah,
all of them
they wanted to smoke. They wanted to see this one. And so a couple of other games we got coming up this week. Signal Mountain 2-0 against Sequoia 0-2.
Signal Mountain's off to a really hot start. New head coach, Mark Mariakis up there, doing a great job just holding down the fort up there after Josh Roberts left. They look like they're going to be on top for a while and probably end this week 3-0, playing at an 0-2 Sequoia, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and then we got Brainerd versus Chattanooga Prep. They're both 1-1. That game's taken on this Friday as well, and that's at 7:30 at Chattanooga Prep.
I don't know how high scoring that will be. I think it'll be more of a low scoring, close defensive game, but Chat Prep seems to be firing on all cylinders. I think that they will come into this game like that as well. But Brainerd the same way, getting that week 1 win over Howard and then playing at Boyd last week. I mean, you're playing at Boyd, who made it to the state championship.
And we're talking about number 6 ranked Boyd, who's 2-0 right now. And they'll be taking on Christian Academy. They're 1-1, and that's at 7 o'clock. And that's this Friday as well. Boyd Buchanan 2-0, number 6 ranked in the state. So that's going to be a pretty good game to watch.
And they got a lot of starters coming back from last year too. So definitely just piling on or restacking on all their talent that they had, and then some with all the people that they got coming in this year as well.
And looking at our local matchups, the one that's kind of intriguing, the one that kind of stands out to me is this number 8 McMinn County and number 24 Tyner Academy. Now McMinn is 2-0 and Tyner's 0-2, but still they're both ranked teams, and that's this Friday. That's a good matchup.
Well, if you look at what Tyner did last week, they held Bradley Central to 14, and they only lost by 8. It was 14-6.
Yeah.
So that's not a huge blowout either, not a blowout loss. It's a one-possession game.
Yeah.
And we're used to seeing Bradley Central run up the score, especially last year when they had Boo Carter and Marcus Gorey and all their D1 talent that they had.
Yes.
But now, Bradley Central's got a little bit of rebuilding to do, I guess, or restructuring to do in their lineups. But Tyner's still holding it down out there, getting to 14-6, or holding them to 14 points, and ultimately not coming out with the win there. But excited to see what they do the rest of the season.
And then we got Baylor, number 1 ranked Baylor, 2-0, and they're taking on Coconut Creek 0-1. That's a 7:30 game this Friday as well. And let's see. So a little bit down the road a little bit, but this is another intriguing matchup. This is number 9, Walker Valley, going to Cleveland, number 3 ranked Cleveland. Both of these teams are 2-0. So somebody's walking away with a win, and somebody's going to have their first loss of the season.
Definitely. And something to watch out for, too, is this game especially, because we will be at the Cleveland Red Bank game later on this season. I believe it's week 6. So it's definitely something to watch out for, especially as Red Bank is 1-1, like you mentioned. And we'll be at that game this week at East Ridge, but that's a deciding matchup right there, Cleveland and Walker Valley, to see who your real test is and what you've got as far as talent.
And then you also mentioned Bradley Central. Of course, they had the game last week, and you mentioned, but they're 4th ranked. They're 1-2, but they did lose their starting quarterback week 1.
They did.
They got Cash Bandy coming in last week, who did pretty well for them, and they got the win. So we're seeing a 1-2 Bradley Central taking on Maryville. That's 3-0. So that's going to be on the road. That's going to be a test. But I think they're up for it. We'll just see. We'll come back and tell you how they did. We got Ottawa taking on Hickson. Again, that's 0-2, 0-2. What do you think?
I don't know who's going to get their first win here. It's really up in the air. I think it's 2 evenly matched teams. And honestly, if I had to pick one, I would probably lean toward Hickson, just because Brent Badley's down for Ottawa, and I mean, if he comes back, that's great, and that helps Ottawa even more. But it's just the injuries right now, man. They had so many injuries. It's going to be an intense matchup to watch, and something crucial to watch too as the season progresses. It's only week 3, and another 0-2 is Howard Tech taking on Republic on Howard's new field, which, might I say, looks amazing. Yeah. It's just hot out there, man.
You got to go out there for that ribbon
cutting. It was a nice field,
and that was right before the Brainerd Howard game. So
Yep. It's going to be a tough one for them.
We're pulling for Howard. Let's hope them Hustling Tigers get that.
I think they get their first win.
And then we also have Notre Dame taking on Lakeway Christian, and they are 1-1. Lakeway is, and Notre Dame is 0-2, so they got a chance to get their first win this season
at 7 p.m. as well on their home field.
Yep. And then let's see, one of the other games I was looking at that I was a little interested in.
I'm going to highlight Grace Baptist and Innovation Academy real quick.
That's what I was looking at.
Because Grace Baptist started off a little bit rough last year, off to a 2-0 start this year. They're on their home field this week against Innovation Academy. It's going to be great to see them just hold down the fort, really, because, I mean, they're off to a hot start. Why wouldn't you just ride that momentum? So hopefully they get to 3-0. It'd be great to see for the program and continue to ride that high.
So, yeah, we got a lot of good games. There's also a Maryville game that's 3-0. We already talked about that. It's Bradley Central. That's one of the ones you said were intriguing. The McMinn County versus Tyner. And we also said we were interested in all the games, but the Boy Buchanan versus Christian Academy, and the Saudi Daisy Loudon, and of course we'll be at the Red Bank versus East Ridge game, 7 p.m. East Ridge. Join us out there.
And Marion County playing at Central. There's one more game that was on the back of this paper I forgot to mention. It starts at 8 p.m., but this one's one that can be kind of misleading because Marion County is 2-0, but Central's 1-1. Mm-hmm. Central looks pretty good this year. Mm-hmm. They might be the team to mess with right now, and they're taking on a really good opponent in Marion County. This is one where they can really set the tone and say, hey, this is what we're made of. This is what we're about this year. Take notes, right? Take notice of us. We're them, right? Yeah. So this is their test. Central right now 1-1, Marion County 2-0.
All right, you hear it here. We are giving you the wrap-up of Week 2 in high school football and the preview of Week 3. This is Big Tula.
And Nick with the stats.
Is Enter the Chat on Power 94.